Okay. Like lovey poems, huh? Like loved up poems. Beautiful. Okay, then another loved up poem, slightly different love under different circumstances. I'll give a little background to this poem before we get into it, though. So, this poem is actually written for Victoria's sister, big sister Noel. She became ill, very ill, and she lived in Australia. Victoria spent some time with her there, and it was a terminal illness, and it couldn't be stopped, and so they both knew that Noel was going to die. Victoria came back to England, and then it got bad, and Victoria went back to Australia to be with her. And I'm talking with Victoria on the phone, and she says, I told Noel you'd write her a poem. How's that for a commission? It can't be too long because it's not time's running out. So now I had been there. Victoria and I had been to where Noel and her husband Keith lived and raised their three children, Rebecca, and Robert, and Sarah. And we had actually went there for Sarah's wedding. We stayed at Keith and Noel's house. It's on a farm in New South Wales. He had fields and stuff, and you couldn't see any neighbors. He had a veranda. And we spent every evening out there, and it's just magic. Birds, the cockatoos, the wedge-tailed eagles way up there, kangaroos, all of that. Now, the thing interesting about this was what I understood about it at the time is Noel knew she was dying, and she, out of her love for Keith, was trying to make Keith understand it's really bad. But Keith, out of her love for Noel, was like, no, we'll beat this. I was really struck by that dynamic. I was the other side of the world from it at the time, but that stuck into me. So we do that, but instead of illness, we talk about the weather. Okay. Sunset. They've taken their places on the veranda, all ready for the late evening show. He's sucking his beer, and she's nursing her G&T. It kicks off with a sweep of emerald and flashes of ruby, a swoosh of air, and the beat of 100 wings. The flock veers to the right and up, then flows around the old tree. He watches her in a rapt smile as she follows the cockatoo sky dance. And he can't help but wonder at the bounty to be found in chance. They say there's some heavy weather coming in, she says as gently as she can. Her voice as small as the fairy wren that's landed inches from her hand. The wind's going to be the worst yet, and they say it will cause some damage. Not till way after sunset, he whispers, and I expect somehow we will manage. They watch as the mob of grays move into the lower paddock, grazing and watching in turns as bold can be. In the middle stands the strapping Jack, looking over his munching Jills and keeping a wary eye on each and every Joey. She catches him laughing to himself as he takes in the whole scene, and she can't help but think, this is as good as it could have been. They say there'll be heaps of forked lightning, and there's bound to be loads of bushfires. They showed film of forest fire fighting and said, check the pressure in our spare tires. Don't worry, love. It's all happened before, and everything has come out all right. Thunder is cracked like it burst down the door, and it's carried on like that, just right through the night. From some and everywhere a kooky laugh erupts, and over there a forlorn fox forlornly yelps. A jet contrail streaks the still azure sky, and there's another swoosh of green and red. The Jabura looks good, as does the Grevillea, and the air has a soft hint of lavender. A darking mouse sets off in a feline race, and Wilson comes away with the head. She crunches the ice from the bottom of her glass, and he drains the remains of his now warm beer. Already smiling, they look at each other. Soon they're gurning from ear to droopy ear. On the radio, the weatherman was catastrophizing, predicting a downpour like we'd never seen. Coming home, I saw the Richmond already rising. I fear this flood will be big and mean. We'll stick together, whatever the storm's toll. It'll take more than wind to blow us apart. No torrent could tear you from my soul, and no bolt strike asunder our hearts. The mob of gallows make one last noisy pass, eyeing up their perches in the old tree. They rise up and then pour finally down, settling into sudden silent rest. From way up high, the wedge-tail screams, forced by the fading light to give up the hunt. She begins her smooth, swift spiral down, down, returning to her waiting